Hey everybody, how's it going? I've been messing with the new build, so I thought I'd share it with you. Actually, I went back and redid a build that I had done in the past, but I just decided getting a little tired of the quill volley, just a little bored. So I just brought on some other gear and sort of using it. Forgot I didn't have my camera on, sorry. And you have to excuse me because I'm just sitting here in my stuff. Let me adjust this camera some. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just run you over the build real fast and then we'll go back and do like we normally do and take a look at it. And I'll show you how it sort of performs. It's not going to do nowhere near the damage that Quill Volley does, but it is fun, and it's you can't control it, so it's interesting to say the least. All right, so let's go into the build itself. Let's look at the gear first off. Of course, I use a Harlequin crest. The best thing you want to do is, of course, hit that cooldown 3 times, but I haven't really rolled this stuff much, so it is what it is. And of course I do use the 20% maximum life for 6 seconds. And I do use the XOL and XAL. And that's just because I plan on invoking another class, because Rushing Claw uses a cooldown and that's all you're on is Rushing Claw. You just zip around. And so what ends up happening is you have to just go through. I think my camera stopped working there. Turn it back on. All right. See if what's going on there. Maybe it's because I don't have it plugged in. The battery's probably low. There we go. All right. Sorry. And so you're always using the cooldown on that thing. So it sort of makes sense to use it in this case. Of course, the false death, everyone's using that. I have barrier generation on that. Barrier generation isn't going to be capped. On this build, I think I have it like at 104, but we'll look at that. Main thing here is critical strike. I want to hit the max life on the gloves, but the critical strike damage, you can see I've got it instead of overpower damage. I have it not only on the stuff, but I also have it tempered on. Down here, of course, we have maximum resolve stacks. We have more armor. Everything stacking armor is big too, because that's a lot of damage that I'm getting from just the armor alone. All right, and I'm way over cap. As you can see, I'm at 5,800 with whatever incense I have on just standing here in town. But also I run the menacing here, which keeps my poisons going for 9 seconds after I do the scourge or Scrooge, Garage, whatever the hell it is. And that's just so I can spread that stuff around. Here we're going to use the unyielding hits, and that's where the armor, where I get the 1,500 bonus. It's 28% of your armor for 3 seconds, a maximum of 1,500 bonus. When you take and multiply 5,500 by 28%, and I think it's pretty close to 1,500, so I'm almost at the max to get the max weapon damage. Moving down to the boots. We have toxic skin, movement speed, maximum life. The size of your scourge is pretty important. I got a decent hit on that. And then rushing claw charges. You can get the cooldown, but I prefer the charges because the 6 puts you at 10 charges, and usually I don't run out, so it keeps it interesting there. And here's the big thing: is there's no Kepelek. On here you can see Ravenous is the big one. That's the one you want to really hit 3 times. Of course, I haven't. Critical strike damage, of course, dex, max life. And on this one, we have redirected force, which that's going to increase critical strike damage equal to 136% of your block's chance. So that's going to be a big multiplier for us. Normally, you know, in Quill Volley, we have that. But here, I think it's like 38% on Quill Volley, but here it's multiplied multiple times. So that's what you want there. No talisman. We are just going to use, we want dexterity, total armor, and cooldown reduction. Still have some room for improvement there on the cooldown reduction. I wish I could find one with a star, but man, amulets are just tough. I mean, everyone knows that. So then we have critical strike damage and maximum resolve stacks. So that gives me 9 on my pants. I have 9, so that's 18 additional. I may try to cap these out and get 13 on each. On the build planner that I have on d4.gg, if you look up my name right, 1974 under builds, you will actually see this build, and I recommend hitting the maximum resolve stacks twice. Wound Drinker. What you're doing here is more toxic skin. It's 7 to toxic skin. You really want to hit that 3 times. Everything else is based around poison. The thorns damage, that's all grand, but it also gives you the toxic skin passive effects. So you're basically looking at toxic skin. Everything stacks around toxic skin on this thing. If something hits you, you want them to pay. But also you want critical strike and your bonuses or your poison that you're putting damage. I've seen hits for 20 trillion, which is pretty good. And last we have the ring, which I have dex, maximum life, more critical strike damage, and incarnate cooldown is important here because this is going to help drop down your incarnate skills. So most definitely something that's going to be important. Other than that, you can see I have about 5,800 armor, normally 5,300 whenever I'm not buffed. I have an incent right now, 3,000 dexterity. So all this stuff works well. And of course, I'm using the Fell Soothsayer on the ring, and I'm using Interdiction, which gives me 23% additional block chance per resolve stack on my ring. So let's go into the stats, because the stats, a lot of people are going to be like, but it really is irrelevant. I need to sell my obols. So you can see my stats here. You see my resistor nowhere near capped. I have a buff. That's the only reason that poison is. But you really don't have to worry about it too much, because whenever you poison stuff, it's going to fear them. They're going to run away. You're just zipping along. You have no control, but you're zipping along, just hitting stuff, man. So, so it's odd. It seems like having resist like this would be bad, but just don't worry about that. Attack speed's a little low. I'd like a little bit more, but that's just unless I can pick some up somewhere, it's just not that important to me, because rushing claw, man, you'll see you're all over the place. Critical strike chance, critical strike damage. I'm at 3,500 base. And it's going to multiply up. So it's going to get pretty high with all my multipliers and everything. So it gets way up there. And that's going to be a main source of critical strikes. Just the damage overall. Vulnerable damage is pretty important. So I have about 400 in there. All damage is 472. Damage from poisons at 371. Of course, that's a lot of damage we're going to be doing. That's why our focus is there. Damage to elites, damage to crowd control, damage to poison. So we have 224 there, because everything you want to keep everything poisoned. If anything touches you, it's poisoned. You're going to leave streaks of poison. You're going to have a poison ring around you. It keeps you. It's pretty interesting. All right, so armor, as you can see, I'm way over the cap, but there's a reason behind that. If you take the 28%, multiply it times 5,800, it's right at 1,500 weapon damage bonus. That's the max you can have. So 28%, I'd have to pull out a calculator again, but it's pretty close. Block chance, of course, you're going to gain a little bit, 23%. And of course, if you play the Spiritborn, you know that that's going to go up. Barrier bonus is only at 108. Seems to do pretty well. Not anything that I'm really too concerned about. I may actually end up moving the runes out of my weapon and dropping my barrier bonus down a little bit to see what that does, and putting the runes up in the pants or the shroud of false death, and then putting more critical strike damage, the green emeralds in the weapon to see what that does, but I'll mess with that a little bit later. Vigor, not that big of a deal. Of course, your generation, not that big of a deal. I'd love some more movement speed, but I couldn't work it in. Cooldown reductions at 55.3% with everything I have, so it's not too shabby. I'd like more. 65% would be ideal, but you know, it still works pretty well as it is. So that's basically the stats. Now let's go over the actual skill tree. The skill tree, put 5 in this one and 1 here. And the only reason why is because you have to get all the way down to here. Let me make this bigger. So I put 5 here and then 1 here because you take no core skills, none at all. So what we want to do is get down here and open the focus skills. We put 2 in focal point, and then 3 in apex, 1 in mirage, 3 in unrestrained power, 3 in swift. You're going to put 1 in ravager, and then you're going to go all the way over to replenish ravager. Okay. So then you're going to do toxic skin. You can see I have a lot of points. I have 23 points in toxic skin. What you're looking at here is to put 5 in toxic skin, enhanced toxic skin, and then measured toxic skin. Basically what you're doing is you're stacking that up. As you can see, with toxic skin, poison is increased by 130% to 756,488, which is 2,600 additional power. And it says down, the last one says toxic skin is active. While it's active, you deal an additional 51,000 poison damage as critical strikes to nearby vulnerable enemies. So that's 180%. So you can only imagine what your critical strike is going to be. Enemies that attack you are poisoned for 121,000 damage over 11 seconds. And your toxic skins overflow, then you're going to leave the trail and making you unhindered for 16 seconds. Okay. So now we'll go to endurance. We put 1 in endurance and 3 in perseverance. We do put 1 in armor hide. And then we go over to reinforced armored hide. Scourge. We go down, we put 5 in there because you want as much damage as you can get from your poisons. Then you're going to go over to where it heals you. You have a 60% chance to life steal. And that's just to keep you solid. You can go the other way, I guess, if you want, but you'll see that vigor's not even an issue. You're just wasting. All right, so we're going to put 1 point in anti-venom, which is why my poison resist is up a little bit, because it gives me 2, which gives me 30%. And then you're going down to nourishment, which your healing is increased by 20%. Whenever you heal, your poison damage is increased by 16% for 3 seconds. So everything's basing around poison. You're going to come over to the gorilla skills, because you will be casting at least your armor hide for your gorilla skill to increase your life for 10 seconds. Very important. Remember, that's 20%. Then you have 20% from the runes that I use. So I give you an additional 40%. Rushing Claw. We only put 1 point in Rushing Claw. And then we go over to Invasion Rushing Claw. And that's just, you know, we're using Rushing Claw. We'll refill 4 charges by using 4 stacks of Ferocity. So what you're looking at from that perspective is just trying to keep those charges up where you can do Rushing Claw all the time. That's the key. Because you have no other attack besides your poisons, besides Rushing Claw. So you don't put anything else on your bar. You don't have to worry about basic skill, nothing of that nature. You're going to put 3 in Potent, 3 in Furnace. Then you're going to come over Ravenous. As you can see, I have 14 in Ravenous, which your Centipede skills deal 35% increased damage. Double this bonus on a healthy enemy. So that's a 70% multiplicative bonus just on healthy. Then you're going to put 2 points in Oppressive. Okay. That's just increased damage to crowd control and gives you additional crowd control duration. Like your fear, things of that nature. All right, so you put 3 points in Resolution. I only put 1 point in Spiritual Attunement and 3 points in Supremacy. Now I put 1 point in the Hunter because I want to double dip and get the Ferocity stacks. And you're going to go all the way down for to Exalted Hunter. I've seen a lot of people use this one, which I would guess would be okay. But I prefer Hunter because of the Ferocity. Remember, you have skills that are going to feed off your Ferocity, and your Ferocity is going to give you additional attack speed. Last but not least, in your key passive, we're going to use Noxious Renaissance. And what this basically does is your critical strikes cause your poisoning on an enemy to burst, dealing 100% of that total poisoning instantly to them, and 20% of it to surrounding enemies before removing the poison effect from your primary target. Now you have to look at it. Damage increased by 30% of your critical strike damage. My current damage bonus on this is 1063 multiplicative. So it is a lot of damage. And you have to remember, once I start fighting and my multiplicative start kicking in to raise up my critical strike damage, that damage bonus is going to hit 10, 15, 20,000. So that's something that is important whenever you're actually doing this build. Now let's go to the Paragon tree real fast. All right, the starter, we are going to use Bane for poison damage. 200% poison damage. Okay. And like I said, you can find this actual build on d4builds.gg. Next board after you leave the starter board is going to be the sapping. And in this board, we are going to use the spirit glyph. As you can see, that's 489.3% additional critical strike damage. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do, is stack as much as we can to get that bonus up for that poisoning so we can actually kill some stuff. And I'm actually looking at this build for Season 7 because they're nerfing the Kepelek. So I'm just looking to try to find something that may be viable moving forward. The next board we're going to go use is the Vicious Shield, of course, because we want that, you know, maximum life. That's why we stack maximum life as barrier. And you're going to increase your damage there. In this one, we're going to put the exploit glyph, which gives you vulnerable damage. And this gives you 140%. Then we're going to come over and we're going to place the Convergence. And in this one, we use Fitness. And as you can see, that's 380% additional critical strike damage. So off the glyphs alone, I'm getting 800% critical strike damage. So that all rolls back to damage with poison. So as you can see, I do take all the glyphs here, but the main focus is trying to make sure that critical strike damage is up. Last but not least, we are going to go down to the revealing board, and on this board we do use Colossal because we still want that extra damage from the resolve stacks. Remember, I still have it on my amulet and also on the pants. So most definitely it's something that, while you don't have to fill in and get a whole bunch of this, it's good damage. 2 times multiplicative for each stack you have. I have 18 just on my amulet and on my pants, and then plus however many you get from, normal. So that's the actual boards that we use on this build.
I appreciate that.
And last but not least, let me go over to this, and I actually need to go change this. So what I run here is the Rainier, and I'm going to run I'm going to do that now, matter of fact. I'm going to run the Viking here, the Barbarian, for the attack speed. So let's go do that real fast. We will go put her on. I'll get rid of Sabu there, and I use her just for additional attack speed. Just to apply, fight faster. I don't know. So let's that, and we are going to actually run Bloodthirst, which will give us additional attack speed, and she will also come out and do some damage. You can put it on anything. You could put it on Rushing Claw, or you can put it on whatever you'd like. I wouldn't suggest when a crowd control. It would either have to be when a player casts any skill in combat. I always want the thing, if it's available, to go off. So we'll put it cast when a player casts any skill in combat. So anything you cast, if it's available, it's going to send her out and give you the additional attack speed. All right. Like I said, I'm still messing with this some. I will move some stuff around, but at this point, this is where I'm at. So let's go run, let's go run a pit. We'll do a pit 100. And you don't think you're going to do pit 150 with this, because I haven't pushed this build, but I do not think you're going to do a pit 150. You may do a pit 130 pushing, but I most definitely would see a pit 150. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put on Soothing Spices, which will give me a little bit of resist. Shoot up my resist some, and actually at least get them out of the negative, right? And I am going to go sell my obols real fast.
That's the spirit. Give it a go. Not a bad bastard. Shame that. Well,
It's just a good change of pace build. It's fun because you have no control. It's sort of weird from that perspective, and you'll see whenever I'm fighting that I just jump around. It gets pretty crazy.
well, there's something special.
All right, so let's go do a pit 100 real fast, and I'll show you what it can do. I have done up to pit 110, but I had another Spiritborn with me. But I think a 100 will probably show you, a good roundabout for it. Like I said, the only thing that I put on was the Soothing Spices and whatever else I picked up. So as you can see with the skills on there, for 9 seconds I carry that poison around from me from Skrull, and you can see stuff just dropping. It just melts. You could probably run through a lot of this without fighting a lot of it. And then you just jump around and keep applying the poison, let stuff hit you, and just go with it, man. with the charges, as you can see, I could just continue to jump around and attack stuff, spread my poison. See, everything up there's died. And I want to show you this. Well, once I can get out of. Once I can kill all the monsters. The thing is, I jump around it. The next thing you know, I've got 1,400 other monsters up. Alright, let me see this. Wrong one. Let's see if I can get down here to the skill tree, see what it is. See, right now it's at 20,000 multiplicative bonus from fighting. So you can see where that stuff multiplies up. 20,000 bonus is pretty big. But as you can see, the hitting for billions per tick on the actual poison. So it is fun. It is different. Quill Volley gets a little... I've been playing it for a good while. Here, poison everything. Quill Volley gets a little old after you played it for a little bit and did 150 and everything. But this actually gives you something else that you could build that's pretty easy to transfer over. And you'll have to need some new gear and stuff, but it's not nothing that should be too difficult to get. And you don't have to have stuff with stars. I mean, just get the main things starred, the toxic skins, the different things. The main thing is getting your critical strike up where that you're doing this damage and you're getting it multiplicative from the poisons. Jumped a long ways on that one. As you can see, I can run. I have no core skill, have no basic skill. I'm just using toxic skin or toxic claw to open this stuff up. So here comes the reality of it. It's the boss itself. So let's see how we. There you go. Not too bad, I would say. I mean, I was actually pretty impressed with the overall build. It does well. It really does. Actually, a little bit shocking. So let's go do a little bit higher. And see, let's do a 110 solo and see, so I can show you just how I'm just going to run with the buffs that I have. Not really anything on there that, you know, is extraordinary or crazy or anything. So it's basically unbuffed, maybe with some resist. You can see it just melts it. And then you just jump around. You're spreading poison. Stuff hits you. It's dying. I mean, it's pretty interesting. And if I really probably tried, I could probably zip through this a little bit faster. My problem is that while I poison, I'm pretty sure all of it's going to die, but I have to stand there and check because my ADHD kicks in and I'm like, are they all dead? Are they not? Oh, stupid dead end. So you could watch him take hits. He's feared. You see it's ticking for 1 billion, 3 billion. So that's pretty cool. I enjoy it, and that little poison trail reminds me of Pendant to Greaves, back when I used to run my Rogue at Seas of Wood, and you'd have the ice following behind it. That was always pretty cool. Oh, I ran out of stuff here. There we go. And use your hunter to refill your charges, and you're good to go. So you just jump around. Now remember, with that menacing, you're carrying that centipede poison with you. You can see the damage that it's doing. So it's hitting for, I mean, you see some ticks up there for billions when you're fighting. And I only have the normal damage odds, so it's just what you're seeing. So you just keep hitting your toxic skin, keep applying poison, and just jump around, man. I'm pretty sure if I would just trust my poison, I would probably be moving through this a little bit quicker. My barrier's full. So remember, having too much armor adds to your weapon damage. So that's always good. Finish this one off and there's a 110. So I'm thinking this probably could go to 120, or 130 probably. Being fair enough. Probably fine tune it some, move some things around. You can probably go a little bit higher than that. So, looks like I've got a error on my, there we go, on Twitch. So, that most definitely is something different, something interesting, and I actually enjoy it. It's a fresh difference from playing Quill Volley. Now, I still have all my gear for Quill Volley, of course. But, you know, and I would suggest you keep that too, because if you want to do high pit pushes or carries, you know, I carry people through 150 so they can get the achievement. That's most definitely something you can switch back to fairly easy. And, you know, just work it from there. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe or give me a follow. You can also watch me on YouTube, Right1974. The link's actually in my Twitch profile. Other than that, I hope everyone has a good day, and I hope that you find some enjoyment out of the build and give it a try. I mean, it's at least worth that. Like I said, you don't have to have all-star gear. I just had it laying around and thought, well, I've got this to make this gear. and give it a try. Have some fun, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.